First of all, what's your reaction? What was your reaction to the news yesterday that suggested that your council is among those that will be shut down?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that I was surprised, only because we've had a testing blitz in Maidstone, which is one of the suburbs that was identified as a hotspot last week. So it wasn't a surprise, but I think just fatigue.
And it's frustrating. So I think it's just that at the moment, today is about trying to get the details of what that means. We've got half of the city that will be in lockdown and half the city that won't be in lockdown. So that brings with it lots of questions from residents.
Who do you feel let down by?
Certainly not by the state or federal governments. I think we've been led, in fairness, really well through this, and you only have to look to other countries around the world. I think it's just frustration that we're back here. I feel let down, by those that haven't taken, that have flouted, I guess, social distancing rules. I feel let down by those that are refusing to take tests, to be honest. I think we all have a responsibility to do our part in this. This is a pandemic. This is not to be taken lightly. We're nowhere near through it. People have to get tested.
Yeah, I think you're not alone there. Many people right around the country have absolutely flummoxed that people hadn't been taking those tests, and as you mentioned, there are up to 1,000 people in Melbourne. What about, the breakdown in security? You said that you don't harbour any resentment towards the government at the moment, but there has been a disconnect somewhere along the line. Defence Force personnel was refused and to be preferred by private security at hotel, and then that hotel security was where the leaks had come from. So do you harbour much frustration towards that decision to refuse ADF personnel?
Not so much in the decision to refuse, but I think there are questions that need to be answered about how that was handled, because obviously, there has been a weak link there, and certainly that contributes in part to the position that we find ourselves in now. So, and I think the fact that that will be addressed, wouldn't want to jump to conclusions about why that was, but I mean, certainly there's questions that need to be answered.
So what are your residents telling you? What's the general consensus at the moment, Sarah?
You know what? We are a really resilient bunch out in the inner west. We have a strong sense of community, and overwhelmingly, I think it's just we'll get through this. There is a bit of sadness, particularly I think if we look at the small businesses that are on the wrong side of the road. It's been so hard, and we've only just celebrated, the reopening of, our businesses, and to see them closing down and knowing how hard, I think that's the bitter pill to swallow. But I think overwhelmingly, I do feel though for, families that were looking forward to getting away in the second week of school holidays. I've heard stories. A good friend of mine just said there were tears in the household last night when the kids were told we're back in lockdown. So it's tough, but we will get through this.
So are you expecting that for how many businesses? I don't know. You'll have a better idea than I do. But how many businesses are not going to make it is my question, because of this extra 4 weeks of lockdown? Those businesses that are in your council?
Yeah, a high concentration of businesses are in Footscray, and that is not shut down. So Footscray, Yarraville, Seddon are not part of the closures. So those businesses, and there are many of them are small, are going to still be operating. But we are talking about High Point, so the shops there that will be closing. A lot of them are chain stores, so hopefully, the suburbs that have been shut down, don't have the same activity centres that, say, Seddon, Yarraville and Footscray have. So that's the only small sliver, silver lining to this. But hopefully, we'll be able to, and there'll be enough support to get through those businesses that are at High Point through this month-long closure.
Okay. I think the state government is providing $5,000 grants to those businesses in the meantime to help keep them survive. I mean, but is this the new norm? Is this what you're expecting this to be now? It's probably not going to be the last time there are suburb shutdowns, not just in Victoria, but perhaps right across the country.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I think I heard it said earlier in the week that we have to live with this virus until such time as there is a vaccine, and we need to manage it. And it's going to be a long time, and the world has changed, our lives have changed, and can't see us getting back to normal anytime soon. But we have a part to play in managing that. So, and in keeping our communities safe and well. So that's where I would just encourage everyone. If there's a knock at your door, take the test. And
just finally, Sarah, you're disappointed you can't go to Queensland?
Yeah, well, you know what? I had my first week of leave for this year planned for next week, so I'm a little bit bitter at the moment. I've got to be honest. If I could be selfish for 1 microsecond, there were almost tears in my household last night. But no, I'll be bunkering down and staying here, and you know what? We'll get to it.
Okay.